Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of On the Road with Dante Carter. I'm your host, Dante Carter, and today I have possibly the scariest guest of all time. Uh, the guy who was known for being the only Michael Myers to kill Laurie Strode. This is Brad Loree.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Did I say your name right? I should have asked you that before we started.
It's Loree is pronounced like calorie or cutlery,
Okay, okay.
but you were very close.
All
You were
right.
very,
I get with my name being Dante, I get butcherings all the time. So I
I'll bet.
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
bet.
I've got to the point where I don't even correct people anymore, man.
Well, you did it a lot better than my grade four principal. We were all lined up outside for assembly or whatnot or whatever. And Brad Laurie, and then everybody in the school started laughing their guts out. I was so mortified.
And then that
But
that
now
was
I'm
the moment.
65 and I don't care.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that was the moment you decided you wanted to kill Laurie. Was when he said,
That's right.
"Yeah, yeah, man." So what first got you interested in acting and stunt work? Was it were you just always a fan, or?
Well, Dante, since I was 6 years old, 5 or 6, I really enjoyed going to the movies because my father and I never got along. So for 2 hours, he would leave me alone, because he was not a very nice guy to me. And I always wanted to be an actor, but I also grew up with really bad acne in my teens. And I became very, very self conscious about my appearance. And also growing up in the 60s, man, getting your picture taken was a little unnerving because, you know, film was expensive and the flash bulbs were expensive and you only got one shot at with the old box cameras, and if you blinked or made a face or looked away or had a cowlick in your hair, you got smacked. And so it was always very to this day I still get a little bit anxious just taking selfies with people.
Oh, yeah.
So when they point the movie camera at me, I always get very nervous. And that's why the Michael Myers role was so perfect for me, because I knew they were looking at the mask and not me. That
Yeah.
was the only way I could handle that role, because I was not used to being, on camera for as long. Usually stunt people you're on camera for 2 seconds to maybe 2 minutes. That's it. But what happened was, when I was 13, I went to see Fists of Fury, and I fell in love with Bruce Lee and joined the local karate school. And this is June of 1974, and the instructor was a guy named Tony Morelli. He was a green belt at the time, but he was obsessed with being a world champion, and he went on to become the WKA cruiserweight kickboxing champion. And I'd been away from karate for a while, but after I saw him win the title, I went back to the school. And he came down one day, and I had grown up quite a bit. I was a lot taller and more aggressive. And he took me down the hallway, just me and him, and he recruited me to be a sparring partner. So he and I became best friends. And because he was a world champion, this is the early '80s, when the stunt industry or the film industry was first coming to Vancouver, and the stunt guys decided they wanted a world champion in their group. So they said, "Hey, Tony, come and be with us." And he dragged me along because I was his protege and good friend. And I so looked up to him, Dante, though in my mind, in my naive young mind, I didn't imagine myself ever being on the same level as him. I might be a working extra and occasionally get in the stunt work, but and I didn't really have the confidence to pursue acting. But I met, through Tony Morelli, a guy named Ken Kersinger, who one day after work, we went for a beer, and he said to me, "Brad, you should be doing this full time. And I'll tell you, you go and get a headshot and a pager and a resume, and I will take you around and introduce you to everybody you need to meet."
Wow.
And true to his word, the next thing you know, we were like, Kenny and myself and another guy named Charles Andre. We became the Three Musketeers. If we weren't working, we were together.
Yeah, yeah. That's all.
And so Tony opened the door, but Kenny's the one who kicked me through it.
Yeah.
And of course, we know Ken Gerziger today is Jason Voorhees and Jason versus Freddy.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
That's awesome. That's really cool that yeah, Jason Voorhees is the one that got Michael Myers into
yes, yeah, yeah, and I've known Kenny now. I've known Kenny. I mean, my very first job on a movie was as a background driver, as an extra on a movie called, in 1983, called Runaway, with Tom Selleck and Gene Simmons and Cynthia Rhodes. And Kenny and myself and a guy named Ian Tracy, who's now an award-winning Canadian actor. But the three of us were all working as extras, So that's how long I've known those guys. I've known Kenny since we were, just kids.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
That's a really cool story. I love hearing stories like that because it's such a small world feel when you get guys who just so happen to get together and now they've created these different things and been in these different movies together. And I think that's a really cool thing, man. And my family, we love Michael Myers, man. I remember I've been watching Michael Myers since I was a kid. And it's like I don't feel like kids should be, coherently exposed to it, maybe, but we were, and we were kind of tormented of it. So if I were to go back and tell 6-year-old me that I'm talking to Michael Myers, I would have probably shit my pants. I would be like, no fucking way.
Dante, how old are you?
I am 27. I just turned 27.
27?
Yeah.
You just turned?
Just turned 27. Yes, sir.
Oh, happy birthday, man. Happy birthday. Hey, listen, a couple of things. I totally agree with you. I appreciate what you're saying because I've been to some I've only ever done 2 appearances in my career, but one of them was in Georgia, in Savannah. For 4 hours, I was just signing autographs and taking pictures with people.
Yeah.
But Dante, and I grew up in the church, and I grew up very naive. I thought all that stuff about inbreeding was just something they make up for the movies, but down there in Georgia, some people are a little too close to each other. And, and the thing I was going to say is, where I agree with you, is that the people down there had these 3 and 4-year-old children that had seen all of your movies. And I want to say, like, what kind of a parent are you? Let these kids watch this blood, guts, and gore. But, think about horror fans. Just God bless them. They're so loyal to the genre. Yeah. I'm not a horror fan at all, but I'm a fan of horror fans. And although I did get tricked into watching the first Halloween movie, which I fell in love with. And that's the only reason I took the job when they offered it to me, because I was in the middle of a very lucrative job at the time. And when they first called me into the office, I thought they were looking for a stunt double for Mike Myers, the guy from Toronto, I hadn't seen the movie in 18 years. I forgot Michael Myers' name. And but and the other thing I wanted to say to you, Dante, is if you have any interest in doing an interview with Ken Kersinger, I could help make that happen. Anyway.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because I love Mike Myers too. And so when I was a kid, I remember when that's kind of how they got me into it. They were like, oh, Mike Myers. Maybe my papa used to watch SNL and back in the day, and they were like, oh yeah. And so this giant mass figure stabbing people to death, and I'm like, so when is Mike Myers coming into this? Dude, we were terrified. I remember being in the bathtub, and I would just be so scared to close my eyes to shower because I was scared Michael Myers was going to just pop in. And but my grandparents, my parents, they loved, and everybody in my family, and I got a niece and a nephew now who are my nephew is 6, my niece is 4, and they're getting to the age where it's about time to start tormenting them with it.
Yeah, good for you.
Oh man, but yeah, dude, it's what was it like? Did you have to get into a different headspace, or was it just kind of because you do have the mask on? It's not like you're making super crazy facial expressions, or.
Well, Dante, I did at one point, I sat, I just kind of meditated on, closed my eyes, and imagine what it would be like to be the kind of sociopath or psychopath that has no qualms about taking a human life. What would it like to kill somebody, to stalk somebody, to torment and torture them and then kill them? I didn't dwell on that a lot because, your mind gets, you don't want to dwell on those, who knows where your head's going to go. But I kind of came up with the feeling that I thought of Michael Myers like a shark. Sharks swim and kill. Michael Myers walks and kills. Mm-hmm. And so whenever we had a close-up shot or a medium shot, I would cross my eyes ever so slightly because I was trying to take the focus out of them, so that you couldn't see any consciousness in my eyes. That was the idea, to make them look as if they're just like a doll's eyes, just like a shark's eyes, like just dead. So, but yeah, I did it. It's funny you asked that because I was being interviewed by the local breakfast. There was this guy and this girl that put on a local breakfast show on a local TV station here. And they were on set, and they asked me between takes they asked me in an interview, why is Michael Myers the way he is? And I can't remember verbatim what I said, but the producer of Jason versus Freddy saw that interview, and he was apparently very impressed with how much thought I'd put into it. So when they came to Vancouver to do Freddy and Jason, he called me into the office and he said, "Hey, I was really impressed and blah blah blah." And we talked. And he says, "I want you to play this thing." I said, "Well, I'm available and whatnot." But then he called Ronnie Yu into the room. Ronnie said, "Brad, you're perfect. You're just not tall enough."
Oh
So I
man.
thought to myself, if I'm not going to get it, it sure would be nice if Ken could get it, because Ken had interviewed with them as a stunt coordinator, and he had doubled Kane Hodder in Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah.
Anyway, then they had this huge cattle call, and they looked at hundreds of guys. I don't know why you look at hundreds of guys for a mask job, but anyway, because when the Halloween people, when I went in there, I was the first person they looked at, and they pretended like, "Yeah, you don't have the job yet. We're going to have to look at other people." They didn't look at anybody else. They heard me on the spot. But Kenny, when they went and had this big cattle call, they came back to Ken. They said, "Hey, you know what? Why don't you play the character?" So I was super happy that Kenny got that. And Glenn Innes, who was Kenny's stunt double, is also a very good friend of mine. So it was a win-win for all of us.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. That's a
Yeah.
really cool story, man. And it's crazy that like you said, like not tall enough to play Jason. It's like I feel like, well, I mean, because Freddy's not very tall, so you don't have to be super tall to still look like you're kind of figuring over him. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I think Ronnie wanted that contrast between he and
okay,
Fred. That was the thing. I heard that somewhere, in one of the Q&As, that he wanted Jason to be at least a head taller than Freddie, because Kenny, as tall as he is, was
yeah,
still wearing lifts. He's 6'5", and I
yeah.
think he had at least 4-inch lifts on him.
Oh wow, Jesus, yeah, yeah. I didn't realize he was that tall in that movie. That's crazy. That is, he was up there then.
Well, it's like when Zombie made the remake of the prequel, the Halloween prequel,
Yeah.
and everybody else was going to these big, like this new what's his name, that played him in Rob Zombie's film. He's like 7 feet tall.
Oh yeah, Tyler
And,
Mane.
and that bothered me because I just sort of thought that it was really more scary that a normal sized guy is a killer and
Yeah,
has supernatural strength. And in the zombie film, they showed so much backstory. They sort of demystified, and that was part of the appeal of Michael Myers. Like, there was always those, questions about why is he obsessed with killing these people in his family, or killing people. Why does he kill that person and not those people?
yeah,
And why does he have this super strength and what have you? And then now, and then when he's 7 feet tall, like when he's a normal height,
yeah,
the back of your mind is maybe this person will get away. But when they're 7 feet tall, there's no way anyone's getting away. You're dead, man.
yeah, yeah.
So there's no mystery.
And I think some of the thrill of Michael Myers is how close it, like you said, they could get away, or they could not. They, are they or are they not going to get away? They're fighting back, and like with a 7 foot guy, it's like you lose, like that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're 100% right on that, man. I agree, and I like that your version of Michael Myers. I think was very methodical. One thing I liked about it, and was there anything creatively you were able to bring? I know like the body language and all was probably all yours, but was there anything as far as the story went that you could be like, hey, maybe we should do this? Or
Well, what Rick said to me, Rick Rosenthal, when I first went to meet with everybody, and when he asked me to do the walk, he said, Brad, it's as if your legs are a pedestal and your upper body is sitting on top of this pedestal. So the arms don't have to swing, the body doesn't. Just move your legs, and it's
mm,
as if your upper body is floating on top of your legs. So I did that for him 2, 3, maybe 4 times. And then he turned to Paul Freeman and said, "Yeah, he should be fine." And that's when Paul said to me, and like I said, I was between the seasons of this wrestling show I was doing for Fox, and I was the coordinator and the stunt double, so I was making this really good money. I was doing this as a professional courtesy. I was not taking this fucking job, right?
yeah,
But Paul says, "Well, no, Brad, you're the first guy we've looked at, so you don't have the job yet. But if we do decide to go with you, we're going to have to fly you down to Los Angeles to cast your head to build the mask." I said, wait. I got to go all the way to LA just to double some hummy actor. They said, no. You're not going to double the guy. You're going to be the guy. And
yeah.
that's when the actor in me went, oh. this is a whole new ball game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I mean, I didn't know what I was getting into other than playing the part. But in answer to your suggestion about what I did, I watched all the Halloween movies. Like I fast forwarded through the crappy ones. We don't
Yeah.
need to name any names. I watched how the different guys, but then I always came back to Nick and Dick, especially the first one. I mean, the first one, the scene where near the end of the film where he's going from the house across the street towards Loree and the kids that she's babysitting. That's the longest piece of him walking that I can remember.
Yeah.
And so I just tried to emulate Nick because, everybody has their favorite. Well, Nick Castle's my favorite because to me, he is Michael Myers. And
Right.
I mean, I'm very good friends with Dick Warlock. I've been calling him Uncle Dick for 20 years. He calls me his favorite Canadian nephew. And he was great too. I thought the Halloween sequel was as good a sequel as I had seen to any film.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, I'm not a horror fan, but because of those first two films, there I am in the theater with my popcorn, licorice, and soda, watching the third one, waiting for the guy to show up. And then when he didn't show up, I got all pissed off and stopped watching them.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
anyway,
That was, yeah, and a lot of people have said if they didn't make that movie, if they didn't call it Halloween 3, that it probably could have been a decently successful movie, but because it was people were tricked like that, so people just went into it and hated it. But you brought up the sequel, and I had a mental note. I don't know if you knew this or not. I'm sure someone's probably told you this before, but going back to the Mike Myers thing, Dana Carvey was actually in the sequel. He was an extra in the I think it was the scene outside of the hospital. They had a bunch of news reporters, and he was like a news reporter's like assistant or something. So
did you
there,
say Dana Carvey?
Dana Carvey, yes,
Dana Carvey from Wayne's World was in
yeah,
Halloween 2.
Halloween too, yeah,
Really? Can you
yeah.
see him if you look for him?
You can't say, I think it's a side shot. I think
Uh,
that you can if you look close enough, you can kind of catch them. I'll try to send you a YouTube like clues. It's on YouTube. I'll send you the clip of it.
is it? Is it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Which is
cool.
it is really cool. So Dana Carvey has worked with Mike Myers and Michael Myers, and
Right. Right.
but I think that yeah, Nick Castle. That's what I was going to ask you next. Was did you look up to Nick Castle? Were you trying to did you use that for motivation or whatever? So it's really cool to hear that. And I agree with you. I think the original. I feel like he will always be one of the guys that not just in Michael Myers, but revolutionized, I think, horror in general. Like he really kicked off this slasher kind of thing. And Nick was I don't do you know why? I mean, I don't want to get to it too much, but I don't know why he wasn't in more. I mean, I know he was in these last three or the last one.
Nick Castle.
Yeah, I think he was
Yeah, no, Nick was a fledgling young director wannabe, and I don't know that he volunteered to work on Halloween, but I think he did offer John Carpenter uh, um, to do like be an assistant or whatever, and he just wanted to be on set and learn from John, and John liked the way he walked, the way he moves,
yeah,
and so he just said, "Why don't you just play the shape?"
yeah.
And because Nick went on to direct some of his some the Last Starfighter, which I thought was a great film when I first saw it, and but yeah, and I don't know that John Carpenter ever thought of when he wrote it, he wasn't thinking about sequels and whatnot. I don't know how much he had to do with the second one and whatnot, and so yeah, I think Nick had gone off by that point. By the time the sequel came around, he was doing his own thing. He was doing his own directing and whatnot, writing and directing. So.
Yeah.
And just so you know, Tommy Lee Wallace, who directed the third one, has a book on Amazon called "Where the Hell's Michael Myers: The True Story of the Third Halloween Film." And I want to get it, but I just can't justify paying $70 for a
Oh,
book. I mean, when it comes down in price, I'll definitely buy it. But
yeah. 70 is wild. Yeah, I didn't know it was that high, but that is a very I would like to read that too. But I'm with you. Let's get a little bit cheaper and I'll read
come
it.
on, let's keep it real. Come on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think Nick Castle, I think he kind of cameoed in this last one. I think there were some scenes where they put him in just to kind of because they were
Did
tying
they?
up the thing. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I don't know if this is true or not, so I don't want to start a rumor, but I had the idea of because did you watch the last one? No, so there's a new guy named Corey that comes in and he becomes like obsessed with Michael Myers. So he steals Michael Myers' mask at first, and then they start. There's like a scene where they actually kill together, and they're both dressed up in the mask and the jumpsuit and all. So I thought, and I don't know, like I said, I don't know if this is true or not, but I had a cool idea of if you're going to bring in Nick Castle for kind of like a cameo, let's do in that scene, you have the guy, James Jude Courtney, that's playing Michael now, and Nick Castle kill at the same time. I thought that would be like a really cool moment if they were able to do it. But I don't know if that's what they did or not, but I thought that would be pretty intense.
Well, I saw 2018 because this guy I know had organized me being a guest at the premiere of this little theater somewhere in the tri-state area out in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
They had Brad Loree in person, and we did a Q&A, and I signed some autographs. So I watched it with the audience, and then answered some questions. But the Halloween Kills, I fast forwarded through it because I just wanted to see Jamie, and then I see she's only ever in a hospital bed.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Halloween ends. I've been put off by the franchise ever since the third one. I didn't like 4, 5, or 6. I liked H2O, except my buddy Chris Duran, and he admits this today, did a horrible job. He didn't study the gates at all. He didn't review. He said, I just did it my way. Well, in my opinion, he looks like a guy who's dressed as Michael Myers. He doesn't look like Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Other than that, I love the film, and I of course, am a big fan of Resurrection. Couldn't stand Rob Zombie's film. I mean, there was, if it hadn't been all the previous film, that film would have been a great film.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll never watch Rob Zombie's second film. Even Rob Zombie fans, I hear they don't like it, and I won't watch Halloween Kills. What I'll do is if when they make another one, and I'm willing to bet they will.
Yeah.
That film I'll watch.
There you go. Because I do think that, yeah, because I don't know I think that somebody else has the rights to it already, or is getting the rights to it. I think I don't know, but I'm like you. I think there'll be another one. And how do you feel about like the constant remake and renewals? As a fan, I feel like I like it, even though a lot of people are like, oh, it's good to let it in. But I'm like, I'm addicted to it. I like seeing Michael. I guess at the end of the day, that's what it is.
Well, I mean, look at the response to the third film. It's all because the production didn't recognize that the fans were enamored with this guy in the mask. He's the draw.
Yeah,
the story fine, but they want to see the guy in the scary mask killing people, and that's why I think the franchise can't die. All the films make money. Why would you stop making them?
Right. Yeah.
I just hope they come back to Vancouver.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that they will, but I don't know. It's really funny, Dante. I got an email out of the blue in July saying, Brad, we've lost your contact. We don't have your mailing address. We just want to. We see you have a birthday coming up, and something about being in the Halloween Resurrection family. And they sent me this cheesy little coffee cup, but which I thought was a very sweet gesture, but it just seemed kind of weird because I see Malik at all the Halloween conventions.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was just something because they're not the most generous production in the world, and I didn't hear that from me. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Keep it along that same kind of track. Then is there anything that it's been long enough? I feel like you could talk about it now. Has there been anything that you took from that set that maybe you weren't supposed to, or was there anything they offered you, like a mask, a knife, or?
well, Dante, I think it was maybe my very first convention, which was 2003 in Pasadena. They do the Halloween's one every 5 years in Pasadena. And during the Q&A with all of us, Dick Warlock said, yeah, when the movie was over, I just took the mask and the knife and the overalls, and I went home and for a souvenir, and he ended up selling it all off to some guy. And so I didn't take anything because I'm not, in my mind, that would be stealing. And
Yeah.
even though the show's wrapped. And so I said to Malik, I was having lunch with him and his girlfriend one day, and I said, Malik, how come I don't have a mask? How come I didn't get a souvenir? Well, Brad, we're a little wary about where these masks might end up. Next thing you see Michael Myers, an authentic Michael Myers mask in some kind of basement goat porn or something. But but in my memory, he did. I think he did. He finally acquiesced. He said, "Brad, I'll get you a mask." But Dante, again, not being a fan of horror, and anyway, I didn't follow it up.
Yeah, yeah.
But I sure wish I had, because last year one of the masks, one of the supposed, I wore three different masks. One that was going to be near the fire and stud mask, and then the mask. Anyway, one of them ended up in London, and it got auctioned off for 50,000 English pounds, which is
God.
almost 100 grand Canadian.
Oh my gosh.
It's like 70 something, 80 something US, and it's like 93,000 Canadian dollars.
Damn.
And I'm a little broke. And who couldn't use 93 grand?
Yeah.
Anyway, I mentioned that to Malik last time I saw him, and surprisingly, he didn't jump up and say, "I'll get you one of the masks that are in."
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's got to be at least two more floating around out there somewhere. So
Yeah, 100. Yeah, for sure. I wonder where they are. Like if there's because there, I don't. I've never thought about where all of them have ended up being or where they're at because there's not like a museum or anything.
yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, dude. In the second after the second one, I think that they had originally thought that that was going to be it for Michael. So I think yeah that he took that and probably thought cool, I'll be the last ever Michael Myers, and then
Hmm.
he was wrong. They come back out and
Very wrong, very wrong. I remember they were asked. I saw it in an interview. They asked Mustafa, "How many of these movies are you going to make?"
yeah.
And he says he had one of the 18-inch Michael Myers figures there, and he goes, "Oh, I love this little guy." He said, I'll stop when we've done 22. So we haven't done 22 yet, so we got to keep going.
Well, and I think that you might feel differently. And I'm sure you have a more of a different attachment to it than I do, but I think Michael Myers is like pizza. There's bad Michael Myers is still Michael Myers. You know what I mean? Like
Yes, for sure, for
that's
sure. As I hate picking on Chris because I love him. He's such a good guy. As bad as Chris was, it was still Michael Myers. Absolutely.
yeah. And Chris,
Hey, I thought Buster Rhymes looked good as Michael Myers.
yeah.
I mean, I couldn't stop laughing when we were rehearsing that film, but I thought he looked.
And there were some fans who were mad about that too. I remember some
Oh,
mad with when Buster Rhymes and Michael got into a fist fight. They're like, what the fuck is this?"
Dante, the first dozen guys that came up to me at Pasadena at that first convention, there was a couple guys there. I thought they were going to take a swing. They were so mad at me because it was my fault that Michael Myers got beat up by some subpar martial artist. And I said, guys, I'm just a stuntman in a mask, and it's in the script. I do it. So, but boy, they were pissed. I don't hear that so much today. It's funny, because when the film came out, it wasn't very well received, and I actually just saw an advertisement online. It was a recent one. Something saying something about the worst, the arguably worst Halloween sequel ever now has these new little figures that are available. I guess some new dolls or whatever you call them came out, and but 23 years later,
Yeah,
now
yeah.
I get a lot of people your age, well, a little bit older than you, come up to me and say, when I was a little kid, my mom took me to the theater to see Halloween Resurrection. It was my first Halloween film, so it's my favorite, and you're my favorite, Michaels. I get that at every show I go to now, and it's just such a contrast from when I first did the film.
It
And everybody beat me up because I got beat up by Buster Rhymes.
That's such an interesting concept because I feel like I was born in '98, so my dog is wanting some attention. Quit. I was born in '98, and so you were the first Michael that I remember watching. I remember watching Resurrection, and I remember Busta Rhymes because my dad's a big rap fan. So my dad was like Busta Rhymes, and I remember being at my mama's house like vividly, like 4 years old. It's crazy that you remember something like this, and but yeah, I remember it pretty vividly. Like Halloween has always just been like for me, it's one of the happiest days of the year. Just I love Halloween and horror and slashers, and I just want to say thanks, for being a part of that and for taking the time to speak with me today, brother. Um, it means a lot to me, man. But
Dante, I'm more than happy. You know what? I didn't know what I was getting into when I agreed to do the film, but I'm so in love with the convention life. Um, even though things are getting tricky at the border with all the BS between our countries right now. But
Yeah.
like I said, I'm not a big horror fan, but I'm a big fan of horror fans. I actually have T-shirts made up that say "I heart horror fans." But I gained some more weight recently. I'm losing it now, but so
Yeah.
I'm hoping the T-shirts another couple of months they'll fit me again because I like to wear them to the conventions. But I always tell the people when I meet them in the Q&As that I'm a big fan of horror fans because the passion and enthusiasm they have for their genre for horror reminds me of when I was a young teenager because I was obsessed with Bruce Lee and the martial arts,
Yeah. Yeah.
kung fu films, and all that. So, but yeah, thank you for allowing me to be on your show today, and I want you to send me an email or text message or whatever, Dante, with your mailing address because I'm going to send you a signed picture. And when's your birthday?
July 30th.
July 30th, right at the end of the month. Good for you. I'm July 5th.
Oh, nice, nice.
You're not Cancer. What are you? You're
Leo.
Leo. Okay. Leo and Cancers are the best. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
so send me your address, kid, and I'll send you. And listen, also, let me know how interested you are in talking to Ken because I'll put you on to Ken because Ken's like me, semi-retired, and other than conventions, he doesn't. Ken's trying his hand at writing, or screenplays and whatnot, and he hasn't sold a lot, but he's making some connections, and it'll happen for him because he's a bright guy and he's a good guy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I'd love to. I'm actually you're the first episode I'm doing. This is going to come out the first Monday of September. You're the first guest on. I'm doing a big Halloween push for the next 2 months. So I'm super excited about it and I would love to have him on. That would be great. So I'll email you about that and a mailing address. And I really appreciate that, man. I'll have that framed and up in the living room. I promise you that.
Well, listen, as soon as you give me your address, it'll be in the mail. But listen, before I forget, I always mention Ken when I do these things, but I also have to give a shout out to Douglas Tate, who the Jack Link's beef jerky Sasquatch.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is him, but he
Oh,
did some scenes in Halloween Kills as Michael, and he did some scenes on something else where he was Jason. So he's been Jason Voorhees, he's been Michael Myers, and he's this super guy. And he would love to do this if you're all interested. And I also have to mention my good friend Andrew Bernarski, Leatherface,
oh yeah.
because he's a very, shall we say, dynamic personality, and he's got himself into some hot water at some shows, and he's got this reputation, and he's having a hard time getting conventions. People don't want to, so he's pleading with me to sort of. He says, "Brad, I promise to behave." Because I've known him. I doubled him on a show called Nightman like 30 years ago, so I've known him forever.
Yeah.
And he and Jonathan Breck, who was the creeper in Jeepers Creepers, we had a week. We were in Amsterdam years ago. So anyway, I'm trying to help Andrew get back on his feet as far as because he did 2 movies as Leatherface, The
Yeah.
Fan,
Yeah.
and he swore me. I put it on him. I said, Andrew, you got a reputation of being a troublemaker.
Yeah.
He and I did a Q&A and he took the mic out of my hand and he hogged the whole thing. And some people afterwards, I think that was really offensive. Some of the things that he said that you guys said, well, Drew and I do that back and forth. So it wasn't a big deal. But anyway,
Yeah.
he promises to behave. So if you want to, I don't know if you have any interest in talking to him.
Oh, of course. Yes.
If I can help PR him. And like I said, Ken, Douglas, and Andrew are my buddies and I like to help them out. So anyway, that's up to you.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'll definitely email you about that because that's yes, yes, and yes for me. Really quick, I don't want to hold you too much longer. I appreciate
But I got it all day.
I do want to ask you, my girlfriend, and this is getting away from horror just a little bit, and I didn't want to do it, but my girlfriend, she would kill me if I didn't ask you. She loves white chicks. So
Oh,
I know you worked on that. What was that like? How was that?
well, it was for me. It was just another day at work. I had nothing against the Wayans brothers, and I mean, I knew of them, and I was a fan of Living Color and whatnot. And but it was just a fun day of playing. See, it was because of my size and my skills. I always played the thug, the gangster that gets beat up by the, or gets shot or kicked or, whatever. And it was a fun day because all the guys you see me with. And they're big Russian. They're all friends of mine.
Oh,
That
nice.
was the thing about it was like the average day of stunts going to set. Dante was like, it's like you go to work, dress up in costume, and play cowboys and Indians with your friends all day, and then you go home. So it's been a great life. It's the film industry's on its ear
Yeah.
today. I don't know what's going on. I've got a friend I'm going to talk to this afternoon. She's writing a script for one of these verticals, these short
Oh, yeah.
movies that are designed for you to watch on your phone, but they're all the rave now.
Yeah.
And I'm 65, so this is not anything that makes any sense to me. But anyway, I don't, Brad, Dante, I have had some people come with the cover of their White Chicks DVD. Like I've signed some autographs because I was in White Chicks, and I actually was thinking about getting some 8x10s, or at least one for White Chicks, for X-Men 2,
Yeah. Yeah.
for Supernatural, X Files maybe, and but I just don't think I'm going to sign. It would justify taking up the space on my table. But the
Yeah.
White Chicks was it was just a lot of fun, and it's probably the most popular film outside of Halloween that I get that I signed for and get asked about. But it's only not even once per show. So, but I'm proud to be in that film. I
Yeah.
didn't much of it, but I know it's very popular, and I didn't have a whole lot of interaction with the Wayans at all. But they seem like nice guys, and they've done very well for themselves.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's as much as I can tell you about White Chicks.
Well, and they just got the rights back to the scary movie franchise. They announced that they're the original Marlon and Sean are going to be in it, and Anna Faris and Regina Hall. So they're bringing them back for scary.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
fantastic!
yeah. So I'm excited about that. Kind of tying it back into the horror side of things. So I'm excited about that. But
That'll be fun. That'll be a lot of fun for those guys. That's cool.
yeah, and I'm surprised you haven't got any. I mean, I don't know. I was gonna say the Twilight movie. Any younger girls that are like in Twilight, but I'm sure they're probably Edward or Jacob's more their speed.
Oh, the new Moon that I was in, the sequel to Twilight.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just doubled Graham Greene, the actor, so I wasn't on camera as per se. So I don't get any attention for that. But I'm surprised I don't, because one of the movies I'm most proud of is the fact I worked on Shanghai Noon with Jackie Chan, and Owen Wilson.
yeah,
I had a line or two, and I had a little scene where Owen Wilson's telling me, and then so me and this other big guy grab Jackie, and we throw him out of the bar. Then he comes back into the saloon, and he starts with the two of us, beats us up, and then this big fight, this big brawl breaks out. And that fight scene actually got nominated for. I think it was one of the first years they gave out what they call the Taurus Awards, which is this. It's like the stuntman Oscar. We didn't win, but we all got all the gack from the show and were invited to come down. A bunch of them did, but for me, stunts and awards it's not the same world. It's
yeah, yeah. I'm sure that was awesome working with Jackie Chan. I know Jackie Chan was a big Bruce Lee fan too, so y'all kind
well,
of
he was a stuntman on Chinese Connection, and he was also a stuntman originally called Fist of Fury, and he was also on Enter the Dragon, and he speaks very highly of Bruce, and he said, I decided that I was not going to try and be the new Bruce Lee. So I did the reverse. When I punched somebody, I would go, "Ow!" My hand hurts. And he made a humorous version of a martial artist. So yeah, no, he it was because he's sort of the predecessor to Bruce Lee, or the successor, whatever it is, whatever it is.
yeah.
That I was very proud to work with him, and I actually am looking at I've got it right in front of me here. I got a crew photo of from Shanghai Noon where all my friends and I, and then Jackie and Owen Wilson were in the front. And anyway,
That is awesome. Yeah, that's another. I love that movie too. Comedy. That's a big one for me. I love Shanghai Night, Shanghai Noon. Those are really good. So, yeah, it's cool to get to speak to you. And there's so many things I feel like I would say have in common, or just kind of like, or both. Like you've worked in some comedies. You've worked in Marvel. I love Marvel too. And then working in horror and being a huge Michael Myers fan. So, like I said, man, this just means I'm not trying to just keep kissing ass and kissing ass and kissing ass. I can't say thank you enough for this, man.
Dante, no, thank you. And I really appreciate it. I just want to give you a piece of advice.
Hmm.
Uh, um, because the reason I charge now, I hate doing that, but I've just had so many young guys set me up for, with a time and day and time and whatnot, and then they just ghost you.
All
Oh,
right.
I forgot, or something came up, and anyway, so I just said, you know what, I'm going to start charging, $250 an hour for these things, it's because it's just anyway. I don't know. Maybe you sent me the link before, but it just, Dante, when you have this sort of appointment, podcast appointment, first thing in the morning, just double check that they have the link and that they're still on board. Like, have a confirmation message,
Okay.
send an email or text. It's just part of being professional.
Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah.
Confirming that no, it's just because I kept wondering, like, I mean, and then but then I saw you sent the money. That's when I knew it was going to happen. So
Yeah, yeah.
thank you for that, by the way. And just a heads up, and let them know that you're excited about it and that. Yeah, it's just all part of
Yeah, no.
making who your guests feel like something special. So anyway, brother, send me your fucking pardon me, send me your mailing address, and I'm gonna make a note of your birthday, and we'll talk again sometime. And let me know about the other guys if you have any interest. Shoot
Okay.
me an email with your thoughts about how it went today.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Appreciate it. And thanks
Do
for
you
the
have my
advice.
email address?
Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah. I got you.
Sorry. Yeah, do that.
All right. Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Dante, thank you so much for your time. Have a great day, and tell your girlfriend I had a great time on White Chicks.
Yes, sir.
All right, brother. Be well.
Yes, sir. You too, my man.
Bye bye.